Let's explore the Como shops. Built by the Northern Pacific Railway. The Northern Pacific Railway was the first Northern Transcontinental Railroad. It was completed on September 8, 1883, triggering a large celebration in St. Paul, Minnesota. This map shows the various lines of the Northern Pacific in 1900. However, in 1884, the line in black was actually owned by the St. Paul and Duluth Railway Company. Another line from the Twin Cities to Brainerd was opened on July 1, 1884, and that was owned by the St. Paul and Northern Pacific. Since Minneapolis and St. Paul were the largest cities in the Northern Pacific chain, they pushed for new passenger and freight depots, roundhouses, and repair shops. As far as repair shops went, the main shop, on the eastern end of the NP, was located at Brainerd, Minnesota. This was a large complex of brick buildings on the eastern edge of Brainerd. Make sure to check out my video on the NP shops at Brainerd. Let's take a closer look at the Minneapolis and St. Paul area. Minneapolis and St. Paul were neighboring cities along the Mississippi River. The Northern Pacific Railway decided to build another large repair shop midway between both cities called the Como shops. The St. Paul, Minneapolis, and Manitoba Railway had been the first railroad to build in the Twin Cities area, when it was known as the St. Paul and Pacific. The St. Paul and Northern Pacific built its line just to the north of the Manitoba line. This 1884 map shows how close the Como shops were to the Manitoba line. The NP even considered having a sidetrack built from the line. Let's examine the Como property in more detail. The Como property is shown in yellow on this 1885 map. Lake Como was just a short distance to the northeast, the Minnesota State Fairgrounds to the northwest, the University of Minnesota a bit further west, while Hamline University was just to the south. The 1884 map shown earlier also provided a list of the buildings that would be built in the Como complex. All but one would be built of brick, which was strong and long-lasting. The crew of civil engineers and designers on the Como Shops project included John W. Kendrick, the chief engineer of the St. Paul and Northern Pacific, Captain A.J. Merritt, Charles S. Biller, and George W. Cushing. Advertisements were printed in the local newspapers, calling for bids to supply the brick. No small number were required for the job. They needed 3 million. Bids were also requested for the job of constructing the new shops. When the bids were awarded, John Woods of Minneapolis was awarded the contract to grade the grounds. Roland Patterson of Minneapolis was awarded the contract to haul the stone for the foundations. 2 brickmakers from Little Falls, Minnesota were awarded the contract to supply the brick. Martin Scott and Odilon Duclos. Little Falls brick were a cream or tan color. Little Falls was located on the new St. Paul and Northern Pacific line, not too far from Minneapolis and St. Paul. Both Little Falls brickyards were located west of the Mississippi River, on the Little Falls and Dakota Railroad. Therefore, Duclos and Scott could ship brick right from their yards. For the stone trimmings and facings on the shops, Mankato or Casota stone was used. This was also a cream or tan color. The machinery for the shops came from the Manning, Maxwell, and Moore Company of New York. Roland Patterson also received the contract for constructing the shops. John Boland of Minneapolis was also a major contributor. Of the new shops, the Cross Building was the most notable. The Cross Building contained car erecting and woodworking shops. a machine shop, a coach repair shop, and an engine house, boiler room, and coal room. This building was 344 feet long and 240 feet wide, and included a concrete floor, skylights, electric lights, steam heat, and a 4-ply asphalt roof. This 1885 drawing shows the south-facing side of the cross building, where the chimney was 130 feet tall. The west-facing side of the cross building had doors for 3 sets of tracks to enter. Another large building was the paint shop, which was 150 by 194 feet, with the same features as the cross building. The paint shop had 8 tracks that entered the building, but only 7 ran through. This is a picture of the paint shop from the southwest, and this is a photograph from the northwest. This is an old photograph of the interior of the paint shop from 1897. The Como shops also featured a blacksmith shop, coal and iron house, office and storehouse, freight car repair shop, dry kiln and boiler house, and an oil house. The shops initially employed about 300 men, and the Northern Pacific had around 250 locomotives. One early drawing of the Como shops was done from the southwest, looking northeast. This drawing was printed in Smalley's Northwest magazine and included the office and storehouse, cross building, and paint shop. You can even see the 8 doors on the western side of the paint shop. This is a drawing of the Como shops from 1891. 2 new structures appear, an engine house and a lumber shed. This is a 1903 map of the yards, done by the Sanborn Map Company. It shows a new transfer table, car shop, and coal and iron storage building. These buildings were constructed by the Butler Ryan Company of St. Paul. Here's a photo of some of the Como workers from 1907. This is a map of the yards from 1916, showing an expanded transfer table and additions to the paint shop and car shop, which doubled their size. Finally, this is an aerial photo of the Como shops from 1925, 1945, and 1962. The shops were sold in 1982. Finally, here's an aerial photo taken in 1991 and 2024. Today, the 4 remaining shops, highlighted in yellow, are part of Bandana Square. Come along for a tour of the grounds with footage taken in 2023. That concludes the video. Make sure to check out my other YouTube videos and my primary website at mnbricks.com.